Dale Hawerchuk has been called hockey's lowest maintenance superstar. He legitimized Winnipeg as an NHL franchise, won the Calder Trophy, and went on to a Hall of Fame career. Currently, Hawerchuk is on a leave of absence from his job as head coach of the Barrie Colts as he stages an inspiring and winning battle against stomach cancer. We're pleased to have Dale Hawerchuk join us on this edition of After Hours.
Breaking for the net, Hawerchuk scores!
Dale continues his recuperation at home on the farm in King City, and Louie self-isolation continues in Edmonton. First of all, Dale, thanks ever so much for taking the time today to share with us your inspiring story, your courageous story of your battle with cancer. How are you feeling some 3 weeks after your last round of chemo?
Actually, I'm feeling really good. It's from 8 months ago when I was first diagnosed, it was, it really felt like a death sentence. But then, you learn a lot more about cancer, and I talked to a lot of people, did a lot of research, and my surgeon was pretty blunt with me. He basically said, you're going to have to go through some serious chemo. They're going to have to remove your stomach and then some more serious chemo. And I'm like, wow, okay. That's a lot for one day, but here I am at the end of it, and it's been a battle, but I'm feeling pretty good. I feel good. I've gone through, plan A, and I'll be going for scans at the end of May here, and hopefully it's done the job.
So you rang the bell of hope on April 13th at hospital in Barrie. Your son, Eric, sent the picture out on social media. How would you describe that moment in your life?
Well, the nurses really wanted me to ring the bell. I'm going to the hospital now, of course, with this COVID going on right now. I'm just like, I want to get in and out of there because I'm pretty, when you're on chemo and that, your immune system's down quite a bit. But the nurses have been great, and the hospital's been, I was a little worried about finishing my chemo, because when the pandemic came along, you start to worry about, going to the hospitals and, and picking up the virus. So, but their screenings and their setups and security have been excellent. So I was able to finish my chemo. So, but it felt really good walking out of there after ringing the bell and saying, man, it's been a long journey, but this was the goal in the end to get to this point. So, and what people don't know is I couldn't even eat at one time. I couldn't eat. I lived off a feed tube, which I just had removed the other day, but I lived off a feed tube for two and a half, 3 months, and pretty much gave me enough nutrition to save my life at that time.
Wow. Well, listen, attitude is a key component in a battle like the one you're waging. And Louie DeBrusk has his PhD in bag skates. I'll let him tie the two together.
Yeah, you've had a tremendous attitude throughout this whole thing, Dale, and congratulations on getting through your chemotherapy. And, one of the things you did state was that it was like a bag skate, a continuous, never-ending bag skate. But like a bag skate, you have to grit your teeth sometimes and just face whatever's coming your way and just try and get through it. And that sounds like exactly what you were doing with this battle with cancer.
Yeah, as much as we hated those bag skates, we knew we'd be better on the other end of it. It wasn't fun going through it at the time, but I don't know. You always seemed to feel better when it was over, and you were healthier or you were more fit. That's for sure. But I knew, coming out on the far end here, and who knows what. I take it one day at a time, but and I try to enjoy every moment of the day. I'm up early now, and I really enjoy watching that sun come up over the hill. So yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's unknown territory, but you got to listen to your doctors, and you got to have a great attitude. And you got to feel like you're gonna do it.
So, Dale, let's go back to about a year ago, the spring of 2019. You're feeling a bit off. You go to the doctor, and you take it from there.
Yeah. So, it was just I had some acid reflux, and taking some Tums, and I never felt that. I've never had that issue before, and then it just seemed to get worse and worse as time went on, and then so I did a couple scans, and they really didn't show anything until they did a scope. And so at first the scans really, like, they read the scans and they were like, okay, it doesn't look like anything major. So I kind of felt good about that. But then when they did the scope, I went in, I did the scope, I kind of woke up, and the doctor's at the end of the bed, and he just says, sorry, I got bad news. You got cancer. And it's kind of like, you just think you're still in a bad dream, right? You want to wake up, but that was the reality of it. And within a few hours, I was meeting with, a surgeon, and my surgeon was excellent. He was very blunt about it, but like you said, I'm a younger guy. A lot of times this happens in patients, 20 when they're in their late 60s or 70s. So, at my age, at 56 at the time, felt like, I'd be strong enough to be able to push through this. So, yeah, it was life changing right there. That's for sure, and, but and then it got worse. It really got worse, where I had this acid reflux, and then, and he told me right away, he says, you're probably going to need a feed tube, till we get going on chemo. And what the chemo did, though, was it knocked down the tumor right at my juncture of my stomach. And it was stomach cancer. The tumor was pretty big already, but right at the juncture to the esophagus was clogging up, and that's what made it difficult to eat. So they went in for surgery. They put a feed tube in, and then, I was on a pump and a feed tube for 2.5, 3 months. And then the chemo knocked down the tumor enough that I could start eating again. And I never thought I'd even like food again. That's how bad it was. And now I really enjoy it again. So I'm happy to be there, or here now, with an appetite.
So really, your persistence, that they keep looking, keep examining you, and finally discover that it was stomach cancer, is what really saved your life. Louie, do you want to follow up on Dale's persistence?
Yeah, there's no question. Yours is a cautionary tale. And what's your message on early detection? Because, if you wouldn't have been persistent with that, you might have just gone home and thought everything was okay.
Absolutely. Because, when I got the call that the scan looked pretty good, a little bit here and there, but nothing major, I was thinking I was out of the woods, but I wasn't getting any better. It was getting worse. So, but I think these scopes, like, I was 56, and, there used to be a time where they say that would be about the time to start doing the scopes, in your 50s. And, but I would recommend people in their 40s do it. I'd say you could, even at 40, to 45, I'd say, you know what, go get a scope, and, just be sure. Because the one thing you find out with cancer, and even talking to other people that have had cancer, is the symptoms don't hit you till it's further along than you'd want, right? And if you can get it in stage 1, you're way ahead of the game. And a lot of times the symptoms don't show up till stage 3 or 4. That just means it's gone from the main area to somewhere else when it hits 3 or 4, and you want to detect it earlier. So I think just the way things are in the world now, and whether it's the food we're eating, and I think you should do these scopes earlier than what we used to recommend.
You took the NHL by storm in 1981. In your first month with the Jets as an 18-year-old, you had 16 points in 10 games. You had a couple of 2-goal games. You had a hat trick. And the month ended with the Jets in Toronto to play the Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada on a Saturday night. Dave Hodge interviewed you post-game, and he asked you if, because the Jets had only won 9 games the year before, if you were prepared to endure a losing season. And this, as an 18-year-old, was your answer.
Oh, I don't think so. I've been brought up with a winning attitude. I've been pretty lucky through my minor hockey, and then 2 Memorial Cups. I'm used to winning, but I think we got a lot of young guys in Winnipeg, and we want to win, and losing isn't on our mind. So think if we keep that winning attitude, we could have a successful season.
And Dale, you backed that up by winning the Calder Trophy and leading the Jets to a 48-point improvement. But I want to get back to that answer. I was brought up with a winning attitude. If we compare that to the battle you're in now, is it the same attitude?
Yeah, well, the hair's a little different.
Hey, I feel your pain.
Actually, it was coming back thick, and then this last round of chemo, I lost it again. But that's funny. But yeah, no, from day one, I just want to compete, and that's what I love. Like even when I watch some of the young hockey players out there, just their battle and compete level, and I had that from an early age, and I think that served me well, moving forward and in my career for sure, and even coaching and trying to pass that on to the kids I teach, and you learn that. We had when I grew up in Oshawa, and we had a very successful minor hockey team, and pretty much won championships every year. We ended up, before we disbanded at the end of Bantam, we won the Loblaws Cup, which was basically the All-Ontario Championship up in Sudbury. We beat Sault Ste. Marie in the final, and Ronnie Francis was on that Sault Ste. Marie team. But, you learn to compete and you want to win, and I think early on, I wasn't the biggest guy. I had to be, when I first broke in, I was 170 pounds soaking wet, so I had to be quick, but you know what? I was relentless, and I got hit hard a lot of times. I remember that first year, Rob Ramage hit me so hard in the corner, and trying to skate back to the bench with no air in my stomach. I'm like, okay, I'll get welcome to the big leagues, but I keep coming back, and that hockey was tough back then. Louie, you'll attest to that. I mean, you watch some of the old videos, even people nowadays say, man, that was like crazy time. Yeah. But it was. But you know what? You had to keep coming back and answering the bell. And I think the players back then had a lot of respect for guys that, whether they were tough guys, scorers, or grinders, or whatever. But if they kept coming back and answering the bell, you earned respect in that league.
Well, you just said it, kept coming back and answering the bell. That in many ways, I would think, describes your fight against cancer, which you are winning. To family now. There's you, Crystal, and the kids, Eric, Alexis, and Ben. And Louie's got the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dale, you've been very vocal in how instrumental your family has been throughout this battle with you. Has this battle made you guys closer as a family?
Yeah. For sure. It's a family battle, and their support was incredible. I know Ben was playing in Czechoslovakia, and he came back. He ended up playing locally with the Brampton Beast in the East Coast for a bit, and then once I got through my chemo and started feeling better, he ended up going to University of New Brunswick to play. And Eric, he hung out here the whole time to help out. My daughter's been here the whole time, and then of course my wife Crystal, she was a nurse in Winnipeg, and she was relentless on me about what to eat and changing my diet, and staying on the medications and pushing me through. Like, there's some tough days. I can't imagine going through this by yourself. It'd be so difficult. Like, they helped immensely, and not only my family, even the support I got from the hockey world, like it was incredible. Believe me, there's some days, and these cancer survivors warned me there'd be days like you're just going to feel like down and out, and that you feel like you're almost on your deathbed, but just know that it can change, and that kind of support helps. Obviously I'm so gracious to my family, but I have a lot of gratitude to the hockey world too, because that helped push me through. And there's some tough moments for sure.
So, Dale, that leads me, I guess, to ask the question that I asked you at your Jets Hall of Fame induction luncheon a couple of years ago, and that is the greatest gift that Winnipeg and Manitoba gave you. You got the answer right back then, so for God's sake, don't screw it up now.
Oh, the greatest gift, my wife.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, she's been incredible. It's just she's just so down to earth, like most Manitobans are, and that's what I loved about Winnipeg and Manitoba. I mean, I love Winnipeg, but I love Manitoba. I love going all over and meeting people, and I've heard from so many different people, and sometimes, I remember certain people, others I don't, but sometimes it clicks in. I said, "Oh, I know that guy. I remember that guy." And, it was a perfect place for me to go, and I enjoyed it immensely.
So here's a picture to treasure. It's you and Crystal at your engagement party, and what I want to know is, do you still have those leather pants?
Yeah, wow, that's what happens when the Jets owner had a leather factory, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, Dale, your hockey royalty in Winnipeg, and I live here, so I can say that without fear of contradiction. Amongst your many milestones with the Jets, you're the first Jet to score 50 goals. Number 50 came in late March in 1985 at the Winnipeg Arena. You were obviously an easy decision to go into the Jets Hall of Fame in November of 17. So when your diagnosis was made public last summer, it was frightening news for a lot of Winnipeggers. How would you describe the support and the reaction that you received from Winnipeg?
Yeah, it was large, like very large, and like I said, I got a lot of gratitude to that because that helped pull me through for sure. And some people were relentless, on my emails or text or through friends, and just knowing that support was there. I do the same. I try to reach out to any of the people I know that have been diagnosed, and just to know that they can always call me and talk about it, because it's lonely at times. And I know we're all quarantined here right now with the virus, but I've been quarantined since September pretty much, and just all the people out there, it can be done.
Dale, it's obviously not just Winnipeg, but the entire hockey world. You don't head into a battle against cancer, I wouldn't think, with the expectation that you're going to become a standard bearer, but you have become one. And here's a message from another one.
Hey, Dale, just wanted to send you well wishes here from Chicago. Congratulations on ringing that bell back on April 13th, the Bell of Hope. I certainly know what that is all about. So proud of the way that you have battled. You've been an inspiration to all of us. Remember, we're all day to day in the big picture, and I look forward to seeing you in person very, very soon. I know our paths never crossed in the great city of Winnipeg, but we're both proud alums of the Winnipeg Jets, and two guys that have battled cancer. We'll look forward to seeing you soon, Dale. All the best to you and your family.
Louie, follow up.
Well, Dale, Ed has been such an ambassador for Hockey Fights Cancer, and just been a beacon of hope, and someone that you can really lean on in the cancer community. And it sounds already like you're starting to take those footsteps and want to be one of those as well. But, just an amazing human being, Ed, and now yourself battling through this, what he's gone through, and now you can help others as well.
Yeah, Ed's been great. Eddie's reached out. We never played on the same team together, but, we cross paths now and then, in the off season, and, I've always had a lot of respect for him, and, understanding the battle he went through, and, he's been a great support as well. His story and a lot of similarities. It helps. Believe me, it helps. And if you can help people and push them through this fight, I hope I'm able to do that as well as Eddie has.
All right, a couple of hockey questions here, Dale, if you can stand it, and that takes us first of all to the Barrie Colts. Louie.
Yeah, I know obviously there's a lot of dust that needs to settle in everybody's world. Yourself, importantly, battling cancer and now COVID-19. But is it your goal to get back on the bench? You've been there for 9 years with the Barrie Colts as the head coach, and 6 of those years you've gotten to the playoffs. You obviously have a passion for it. Is that your goal to return?
Yeah, I really miss it. After I do the scans at the end of May and see where I'm at, I'll meet with my doctors early June and go over everything. But we'll see how I'm feeling at that time. But I can tell you, I miss working with the kids. I mean, I got a chance when I felt good at certain times to get up there and see the boys and the coaches, and I missed going in there, and I enjoy it so much. But we'll see how things shake out in a month from now. But first and foremost, I got to be healthy to do it. That's for sure. I miss it.
So, Dale, you've sent more than your share of players to the NHL from Barrie. I think as many as half a dozen of them could be described as impact players. So here's a message from maybe the best of them.
Hey, Dale. Just wanted to say congrats on your last round of chemo. I hope you're doing great. I hope the family's doing great. For me and my family, we've been obviously thinking about you, praying for you, and always here for you. You're a fighter. We know you're going to get through this. So, just wanted to say hi. Just wanted to say hope you're doing well and hope the family's doing well, and just know that we're always thinking about you. We're always praying for you.
So, Dale, that's Mark Scheifele, of course, and he probably heads the list that also includes Brendan Lemieux, Aaron Ekblad, Tanner Pearson, Andreas Athanasiou, Rasmus Andersson, Andrei Svechnikov, and Kevin Labanc. So back to Scheifele. It took him a while to make the Winnipeg Jets. He was sent back to play for you in Barrie twice. And on the occasion of his second return to the Barrie Colts, Paul Maurice was working in TV, and the topic for discussion that night was, is Mark Scheifele a first-round bust? We know the answer now, but did you always have faith that he would be an NHL star?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we had the opportunity to pick Mark in a trade, and I remember going and watching him. He's playing Tier 2. It's his first exhibition game up in Huntsville, Ontario, and I went with a few of our scouts and that, and I saw 2 shifts, and I said, yeah, he's going to be a player. And they were a lot of the guys were like, well, he doesn't skate that well or whatever. And I said, yeah, but I see his desire. I see his instincts. He'll find a way to get there. And they used to say the same thing about me. I had a funny skating style, but he would beat better skaters from A to B because he knew it was going there quicker, and he got a head start all the time. But and then when I met him, I'm like, this guy's for sure going to make it because he's got one of the best attitudes I've ever seen in any player. When he walks into the rink, he's smiling, he grins ear to ear. He just loves it. And you think about all the great ones. They all love to come to the rink and play games or practice, whatever. I can tell you, Gretz was the same way. Lindros was the same way. You know what? They just loved it, and they just got better because they just pushed all the time, and that's what Mark did. And Mark's attitude was so infectious to the rest of the group. As a coach, it was like, man, this guy's making my job easy because the boys are watching him and they're just hopping on, kind of the way Messier was the same way, right? Mark was one of those guys. You just look at you and you guys hop on, boys, let's go. And that's the way Mark was.
Dale, we won't keep you much longer here, but we do have one more message for you.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Wayne Gretzky here. I just wanted to reach out and tell Dale how happy we are for not only him, but his entire family. I know the battle he's been through has been awful difficult. I've known Dale and watched Dale play hockey since he was 16 years old, and like he was on the ice, a complete fighter. Congratulations to you, Dale, and to your family. And a reminder, be smart, be safe, stay home.
So, thanks, Dale, the great one in your corner, what do you think?
Well, he was my favorite hockey player growing up was Bobby Orr. And but when Wayne Gretzky came along, I said, hey, there's room for me because Wayne and I were very similar in size and stature and the way we played the game. And, obviously, he's going down as one of the greatest, but he gave me hope that, a slighter frame guy that played a certain way could make pro hockey, because really there wasn't a lot of guys like that at the time. And he opened the door that way. And the one thing I always said about Wayne, I got to play with, we had Gus Medali was our agent at a young age. We golfed together when we were young, and he was always just a super guy and down to earth. But when you played with Wayne, what I loved about Wayne, like you talk about his leadership, and they had great leadership in Edmonton. They had with Messier and Coffey and all the boys there. But Wayne's leadership was like, because you just felt an aura of him and in awe of him, but he made everybody on that team feel a part of it, whether it was, and I could tell in Edmonton, but I really saw it when in the Team Canadas that I played with Wayne, like everybody was a part of it, and everybody wanted a piece of Wayne. They wanted Wayne to do this and all the good stuff and this and that, but Wayne always tried to include his, all his teammates, and he was such a great leader that way. And of course, being able to play with him and Mario in the '87 Canada Cup, and being on the ice for that winning goal was incredible. And I always laugh because Messier came off the ice and Keenan sent me on the ice, and we didn't know who was going to take the draw. And I went to Wayne. I said, "Wayne, you want to take the draw?" And he says, "Not a chance." And Mario, I said, "Mario, you want to take the draw?" And he says, "No, that's my wrong side." So I guess I was, taking the face off. So all I said to Mario, I said, "Mario, I'm tying him up. So basically that means you come in and get the puck." And man, did it ever work out good. But I went on that ice and I had no idea I was taking the face off.
Yeah, you were largely responsible for one of the most iconic goals in Canadian hockey history. Who knows what would have happened if you'd lost that draw, but you didn't. And that set up the famous Lemieux winner, '87 Canada Cup with 1:26 to go. So Dale, I want to thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. By the way, is there anything else you want to say?
No. Well, you know what, guys, I appreciate doing this. And you know what, if there's anybody out there that, needs to talk about something, especially with, a diagnosis of cancer, I'm here for them. And I appreciate everybody that's reached out to me, and I've tried to get back to everybody, but man, there's so much out there. It seems impossible at times, but I do appreciate all the support I've received. And, guys, thanks. Hopefully we can get through this virus. Like I said, we need that miracle cure or vaccine, and we can move forward. But you know what? Mankind's always found a way, and we'll find a way. And just like I've tried to find a way through this, we'll find a way through the virus. But appreciate the time, guys. And, stay safe out there. Be smart, and let's be lucky as well.
Well, you inspire in your battle with cancer as you inspired when you were a player. Thanks again, Dale.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you all for watching on YouTube, Facebook, and sportsnet.ca. Join us every Sunday at 9 a.m. ET. Be safe. See you next time.